Good Monday morning. Thanks for joining us from the Ohio AgNet, voice you know at the News You Trust studio, sponsored by BASF, where you can count on the trusted performance of Allivo seed treatment to protect your soybean crop. I'm Joel Norwood. About 65 degrees right now. You're at the broadcast studio. Overall, a nice week ahead, though truth be told, we could use a bit of rain over in our neck of the woods. We'll talk weather here in just a bit. A couple calendar items to keep note of. Powered by Soy Biodiesel, our own Del Minio headed to the Miami County Fair over the weekend, thanks to Axis Seeds, presenting a check to their Junior Fair board. You can hear more in today's midday show. Then tomorrow, we head down to the Southwest Ohio Corn and Wheat Growers Field Day. That remote broadcast, thanks to LCNB National Bank. Visit them at lcnb.com to learn more about their ag lending programs. Then coming up Wednesday, always a fun one, join us at the Bowling Green Tractor Pulls, thanks to Nature's premium liquid fertilizer since 1946. A busy weekend will take you all over Ohio agriculture. Before we get any further, let's hear an update from the Ohio Corn and Wheat Growers Association with our own Del Minio.
Joining me, Wendy Osborne, Director of Market Development for Ohio Corn and Wheat. Wendy, give me a recap of the big picture, our beautiful big bill, and what that means for corn growers.
When we talk about the trade deals, I think most of the farmers have seen all the announcements that have been in the media, but what does that actually mean for corn and wheat farmers? It's actually great news. We are seeing a lot of trade deals happening, and we're on pace to set a new record for corn and corn ethanol exports this year. So great news on the trade front, a lot of optimism. There's still a lot of details to be worked out on these trade deals that will be coming in the next few months, but I would assure the farmers that corn and wheat and corn ethanol are at the forefront of these trade discussions.
Is it just as important to export ethanol as it is corn?
It's really important. That's a value-added process. So we are able to take our corn here domestically, turn that into ethanol, and export that across the world. We're seeing also increased consumption around the world of corn ethanol. Many countries are putting in mandates to help with their air pollution challenges and also reduce their carbon emissions. So U.S. corn ethanol exports are, again, going to hit another new record this year.
Wendy, how do the recent trade deals with countries like Japan, Indonesia, Philippines, and others specifically? We're starting to see a pretty good list, and that's important.
Yeah, we're seeing really a good list with our trading partners. Many of those countries are in our top 10 for buyers of our corn ethanol, and wheat. We're on pace to hit a new record exports with corn and corn ethanol, and that's even considering that China's not in that mix.
I've been visiting with Wendy Osborne, Director of Market Development for Ohio Corn and Wheat.
And thank you, Dale. Let's check out the ag weather forecast with Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin, thanks to Seed Consultants, simply better performance. Online at seedconsultants.com. Here's Ryan.
Moisture continues to set up just to our west and north. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin with a look at that Ohio Ag Weather Update. I'm not putting together any changes in our forecast today. It's going to be a hot and dry one still with temperatures above normal. Humidity values increasing, but no real significant threat of rain. And right now I'm going to adjust our Tuesday forecast to be similar. I don't think we have any good threat of rain tomorrow. Overnight tomorrow night into Wednesday, we can see some hit and miss scattered showers, but our threat is significantly less than what we were seeing to finish out last week. One thing I can tell you is behind this for the Thursday-Friday period, we may cool down just briefly before warming back up toward the end of the week and weekend. I think now it is becoming more and more likely that we make it through the entirety of this week with no precipitation in Ohio, just some spotty chances, and those chances don't look great right now. Temperatures are going to continue to stay a little bit cool as we move into early parts of next week before heating up going into the week following. So that is going to be interesting, the roller coaster ride. But the concern that I'm seeing more and more, and I can't stress this enough, yes, it's hot right now. The heat is going to hold here for a bit, but the dryness is a bigger story. August, a key month for soybeans and even some late planted corn. And right now I'm taking out some of the moisture that we were seeing try and get in here. Meanwhile, to our west, there's plenty of action across Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa. That continues to be a hot zone of action. So I think we're going to end up really putting together haves versus have-nots here in Ohio on precipitation in the next week to 10 days. I'm meteorologist Ryan Martin.
And thanks, Ryan. Again, weather and markets brought to you by Seed Consultants. In news, Senate Ag Committee members Chuck Grassley and Joni Ernst, as well as Ranking Member Amy Klobuchar, introduced the bipartisan Ethanol for America Act recently, looking to make it easier for Americans to fuel their vehicles with homegrown E15. They say the bill eliminates unnecessary barriers by requiring the EPA to finalize rulemaking from 2021 to make the E15 fuel label clear and more consumer-oriented. It would also confirm the compatibility of E15 with existing underground fuel storage and dispensing equipment, ensuring business owners are not required to make costly and unnecessary infrastructure changes. Senator Ernst said it's also well known that E15 creates lower prices at the pumps and adds value to the homegrown crops in the U.S. On that note, plenty more farm news to come, as we'll be right back here on the Ohio AgNet.
Did you know that soybeans are the secret sauce behind Ohio's booming poultry farms? Each year, poultry consume a whopping 937 million bushels of soybean meal nationwide. This high-protein powerhouse keeps chickens and turkeys thriving, making Ohio number 2 in egg production and number 9 in turkey farming. From farm to table, soybeans power the farms that feed families. Brought to you by Ohio soybean farmers and their checkoff.
Your farm news continues here on the Ohio AgNet. I'm Joel Norwood. USDA's recent Land Values Summary report has confirmed another increase in the value of U.S. farmland. No surprise, but how much and how does that compare historically? Well, Danny Munch is an economist with the American Farm Bureau Federation, says the value rose 4.3%, or about $180 per acre.
Bringing the national average to a record high of $4,350 per acre. This marks the 5th consecutive year of land value increases, though the pace has slowed over the years. Cropland values rose by 4.7% to $5,830 per acre, and pastureland values climbed 5% to $1,920 an acre.
Something else hitting record highs? Cash rents, rising 0.6% to a price of $161 per acre on average across the country. Munch said the slower rise in land prices compared to previous years is due to multiple factors.
As commodity prices have receded and the farm income picture has been more uncertain, that has caused land price increases in the ag community to deflate or be more uncertain. Unlike prior years when Midwest row crop states saw double-digit increases, we actually saw no double-digit increases across states this year. The biggest increases were in Michigan, Tennessee, and South Dakota.
What kind of an impact will these changes in value have on U.S. agriculture? Well, mixed, he says.
On the positive side, continued increase in real estate values means that the primary asset many farmers own, which is land, has grown in value. That means it really strengthens the balance sheet and can improve access to credit. On the other side, that rate of growth has slowed. So that means the expansion of equity has also slowed.
Talking with us about farmland real estate values hitting record high, that's American Farm Bureau economist Danny Munch. The U.S. agricultural trade deficit has hit a record high in the first half of 2025. Agricultural export value trailed the import value by $4.1 billion in June, a gap that's 14% larger than a year ago. That has pushed the ag sector's trade deficit to $28.6 billion through the first half of this year. For 50 years now, the U.S. ag sector has consistently had major trade surpluses, but the growing deficit signals a historic reversal for the ag sector. When did that trend shift begin? Well, initially back in President Trump's first term during the trade war with China. And looking specifically at deals with that country, recent data from the U.S. Commerce Department shows the U.S. exported $5.5 billion worth of farm goods to China during the first 6 months of the year, compared to $11.8 billion at the same point last year, about half. Some notable USDA reports coming out this week. Let's take a preview of what to expect, including some numbers on the fruit production side. Rod Bain reports.
Coming up Tuesday, USDA's latest edition of its monthly crop production reports and World Agricultural Supply and Demand estimates. And while the August reports focus on data from farmers' surveys on major fall harvested crops like corn and soybeans, USDA research economist Catherine Weber reminds us that several fruit varieties will have their first production forecast for the season. For instance,
USDA NASS will release its 2025 peach production forecast for South Carolina, Georgia, and 4 other states in its August crop production report, which will also include an update on California peach production.
The National Agricultural Statistics Service will also offer first production forecasts for this season's apple, pear, grape, and cranberry crops when it releases its crop production report noon Eastern Time on Tuesday. I'm Rod Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
Thanks, Rod. And let's continue turning the page to markets as today's market analysis is brought to you by the Louis Dreyfus Company. Excited to be building the newest state-of-the-art soybean crush facility in Upper Sandusky. Call 574-566-2113 for information on soybean marketing to LDC. Let's check in with Ryan Martin on what to keep in mind for markets.
Grain markets finished the Friday session on a mostly lower note. Here's what's going on as we get into another week of trade. The big story this week, of course, happens right away tomorrow on Tuesday. That's where we have our WASDE report. The expectations have been all over the place, and I think that basically everybody is thinking we're going to be seeing a relatively large crop size. Right now, yields anywhere from 186 to 188. At least that's on the expectation side. And the other thing that we are expecting is a drop in soybean exports. It should come. It should be sizable. How much comes this report, though, is still up in the air. But one of the things that may temper expectations a little bit, honestly, the weekly export sales report last week was a little bit better than expected, particularly on the corn side. The U.S. is priced quite competitively still with Brazil on both old and new crop. The focus on old crop is now only with the shipments. Last week's strong 1.229 million ton export quantity for the week was 22% above the 5-year average. The prior 4 weeks were 43% above. The pace needed through August for USDA's goal is only 15% higher year on year. That means we are probably going to be seeing the balance sheet shifting around just a little bit. The extreme 3.163 sale total that was reported last week on corn was a record sale for any week in this prior year or any week over this week in prior years. That tells you again that corn exports are going to be very, very interesting as we get through the report. Well, the other thing that we have to look at here on the weather side, whether or not we see rain widespread over the growing regions. We did see a significant batch of moisture develop over the weekend to the west in parts of Wisconsin, Iowa, Illinois, Minnesota, maybe even too much rain, and it really is kind of falling apart as it heads towards us. Still a chance of rain here this week, but nothing to get too super excited about. I'm Ryan Martin.
Thanks, Ryan. One more piece of news before we look at market numbers from overnight trade in Chicago. USDA's Risk Management Agency will make a one-time congressionally mandated payment to approved insurance providers administering eligible crop insurance contracts for 2022 and 2023 reinsurance year specialty crops. Those payments will provide additional compensation to agents delivering crop insurance to farmers across America. The total funding available, $30 million. Funding for the payments comes through the American Relief Act of 2025. And stay tuned to look at overnight markets from Chicago when we return.
Tuesday, August 12th is the day to be in Fayette County for the Southwest Ohio Corn Growers Agronomy Field Day, beginning at 9 a.m. at the Fayette County Airport, Washington Courthouse. Hear from experts like Aaron Wilson, Scott Shear, Rodrigo Worley, Emma Matcham, Tad Nicholson, Mitchell Feeney, and Wendy Osborne on the latest in ag weather, weeds, cover crops, and more. Enjoy free breakfast and lunch, plus a chance to win one of 2 $500 gift cards for Corn Growers members. Details can be found at fayette.osu.edu.
Whether you're in the fields or on the farm, creating a safer work environment has never been easier. BWC's safety consulting services are included with your policy premiums and offer training and education for everyone in your farming operation. It's always the right time to make safety a priority. Visit bwc.ohio.gov or call 1-800-644-6292. The Ohio Bureau of Workers' Compensation, here to help you work safely.
Grain markets overnight in Chicago seeing some gains compared to that of Friday's close. Let's take a look at the latest numbers. September corn right now, $3.85 per bushel, up 2 1/4 penny, while December new crop corn up 2 cents to $4.07 1/2, and March 2026 corn contracts up 2 cents to $4.25. August soybeans closing out their contracts at $9.66 3/4. November new crop soybeans $10.10 3/4, up 23 1/4 right now, and March 2026 beans $10.45 1/4, up 22 1/2. September to wheat up a nickel right now to $5.19 1/2. Market numbers brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance. Online at seedconsultants.com. On the livestock side, we're seeing August live cattle at the Chicago Mercantile Exchange down $6.20 to a price of $232.55. October live cattle off $6.25 to $225.98 per hundredweight. September feeder cattle checking in at $340.38, down $9.25. August lean hogs 13 cents up to $108.90, while October hogs down 25 cents to $90.68. And milk class 3 for September starting the week off at $18.61, down a penny. That's a look at your farm news here on the Ohio AgNet. Of course, always follow along to the latest in Ohio agriculture here as well as online at ohioagnet.com. I'm Joel Norwood. Thanks for tuning in.